you have awesome music. But if you would please mute your phone, and then anytime you have a question, of course. Wait, good morning. This is Hurwitz, the HR Director at JC. This is our first, I think, go-to meeting with regard to posting job ads on People First. Right when we kind of had the hang of things, they went to a whole new system. And although it is a work in progress, I think that we're rolling along, and lots of ads are being posted, and now I hear an echo. If you're on a cell phone, that might cause echoing for others. Okay. All right. Sorry about that delay. We just had to put the audience on mute to ensure the best audio quality possible. So, Amy Maros is the primary contact for the request to fill, but we also have Amber Moore and Monica Thomas, who have gone through the training at People First as well, and all three ladies are in the room with us, as is Andy Snuggs. So I'm going to just turn it over to Amy. I did attach the presentation to the reminder email that I sent out at about 9:30 this morning, and this is also being recorded should you wish to listen to it again. And we also have put an updated request to fill form on our website. That also was accomplished this morning, and Amy will refer to it during the presentation. So with that, Amy?
Good morning, everybody, and again, thank you for joining us. As Carolyn has stated, the request to fill process has changed a little bit. However, I'm hoping that not much has changed for you, and that we're going to give you an idea of what is entailed in this process. And hopefully, if you haven't tried it, that at this presentation you will want to at least give it a try one time and see if it works for you. I'm hoping that it does. Just a couple of things here. I have a couple of spots in this presentation where we could pause and ask questions if you need to be, but since apparently we might have some issues with some echoing and trouble hearing, I'm also going to request that you might send any questions you have via email to the job postings email group that we have. This way we could correlate and combine all the questions and see if some of you have the same questions, and we can maybe send out a memo or something later addressing them in more details than what I can on this presentation. Okay, so let's get started. I'm here to present to you today the request to fill vacancy process here. As you know, my name is Amy Maris, and I do, as Carolyn has said, I am your primary contact for request to fill request, and Amber and Monica are my backups if I, however, for some reason I'm not in the office. We do have an established email group. It's called Job Postings at justiceadmin.org, that if you email that email group, you will get all three of us. Okay, so to move on. My objectives today are to have you gain an understanding of the request to fill, which we refer to as the RTF process through JC and People First, and what that entails between the two of us. It is actually somewhat complicated and a timely process. Provide reasons why to use the RTF. Guide you through the RTF process and answer the most common questions about them. The first thing tell you is an RTF simply is a job posting. And this particular job posting is posted online to the People First job site, and it is additionally posted on the Employ Florida job site the next day. A couple of reasons why to use it. It's free. Everything is on the internet. People could apply online. The storage is there for 4 years, which meets the public records requirement of storing applications for 4 years, and it's fairly easy to do. As I said, there's no cost to your circuit, no additional costs to post a job advertisement. Everything's online. Applicants could apply online. You could go in and retrieve those applications online, which I will tell you right now, DMS is strongly pushing and encouraging, to the point where they have actually eliminated all state of Florida paper applications. Something to keep in mind. As Carolyn said earlier, we have a new updated request to fill form. This is an example of what it is, and you can now find this form in a PDF or a Word document on our website under HR Forms. The only required language for an RTF is the standard language of equal opportunity. There's other language if we were not, or if we were part of the state personnel system about veterans preference, that if you go out there and look and you see it and you say, why don't we have it? The main reason is that JAC and all the agencies we serve are exempt from that language. So the only standard thing that you have to have in the form. Going back to the form, I want to point out a couple of things for you. You want to start at the top of the form and you want to select your agency and you want to select your type of advertisement. Your agency is very, very important at this point. The new system does not recognize the agencies we serve as separate from JAC, which means a little later on I will discuss some of the options that someone applying for a position can use to search for a job. They would not be able to go under the agency search option and, let's say, scroll down and search for a state attorney or a public defender specifically as an agency. All our jobs are listed under the Justice Administrative Commission, and to that end we have some workarounds that I will discuss later. And just to let you know, I have twice requested People First put in a work order to allow the state attorney, public defender, guardian ad litem, CCRC, and RC to have their own agency title, and that request has been declined, but we will continue to pursue that. Going further down in the form, the type of advertisement, an open competitive pretty much just means that anybody can apply for the position, that you are not narrowing it down to a select group of people that you want to apply. Internal agency is just that. You're opening up the position to people that already work for your agency. Re-advertisement, a lot of times you don't have success on the first time through. We could repost a job for you. And a non-advertisement. A non-advertisement doesn't actually make it out to the website. It's more of like a records keeping thing where you can post the position and say this is what it's for, but you already have someone in mind for the position. You just want to do it to have a record that it was available. Something new that isn't on this form, because I don't believe many of you will be doing it on a regular basis. However, they do now have what's called a private listing, which is posted on the website. However, it is given a unique website address or URL address, and that has to be set up through People First and myself, which I would then provide you. what you would do is you would take that unique web address, excuse me, and you would send it out to the people that you want to apply. And only the people that have that URL address would be able to apply to that position when you have it as a private advertisement. If for some reason, after you sent it out to the few people you want to apply, you don't have someone that you want to hire from that, you could then open it up to everybody to apply, and then it would be publicly visible on the website. Going down to the position information. The more accurate this information is, the easier it is for me to post a position for you. The position number is a position number associated with the job that you want posted. If you are using this to advertise an OPS position or a contract position, I would ask in that box next to the position number that you state OPS or contract. Please keep in mind OPSs are considered state employees and would be entitled to benefits if meeting the requirements of OPS benefits eligible, and contract employees might be paid by the state, but they're not considered state employees. The annual salary, that is up to you how you would like to do that. We have everything from an hourly rate to a set annual rate to even commensurate with experience or based on experience put in there. That is up to you. The FTE would be the FTE equivalent, whether that's a 0.5, a 1.0, a 0.2, whatever you want to do in there. If you're using it as an OPS position, I would please fill that in what you expect them to work. So if you expect it to be a full-time OPS position, please put 1. Your circuit number, the city and the zip code, position zip code, are new on this form. Well, the city isn't, but the position zip code is. It is important that I have the physical location, the city location, and the physical zip code of that location of the position on this form, because now there are city and zip code search options for the applicant, and if it is not accurate when I post the position will not come up if someone were to search a zip code. The county still is required for me to fill in, but I do not believe that applicants can now still search by county. The class code, again, and the title of the position still need. And another new thing on this form is the career opportunities. It is actually provided for you with a drop-down box. There are 11 career opportunity categories. Again, this is for the applicant to search by career types. Of those 11, one of them is another, and we are trying our best not to default to the other, and I'll explain a little bit more when we look at the applicant side of the RTF process later. Contact information is the person that you want me to contact, or I will contact if I have questions about the job ad. Team members, this is new. Before, if you had a particular code in the system, particularly an R or a U, you were automatically able to go in and pull any requisitions for your circuit. The new system does not allow that. You are not automatically a team member on the requisition, and you cannot automatically go in and pull applications unless you are listed as a team member on that requisition. To this end, I would ask that everyone that you want to have access to the requisition is listed. Keep in mind, the person that is listed has to have at least an R or a U security code in the system to be able to use the system. The U code, I'm sure most of you are familiar with. It is usually reserved for HR personnel, and it allows that person to see not only their information but other employees' information in the system that they help serve. The R code will only allow the person to see their own information and any requisition that they have been placed on as a team member. So keep those in mind. Again, if you have any questions about those, please send me an email. I'll be more than happy to explain in more detail. The advertisement information is when you want the advertisement to post from, the day you want it to start, the day you want it to come down from the website. This is a very time-consuming process in getting advertisements up, and literally takes at least a day to get most of them up. I would ask that you try not to send in a requisition that you want up that day. I could almost guarantee you, because of the way the new system works, it's not going to happen, and I feel bad about that. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. So if you give me a day or two to get it up, I would appreciate it. Again, that's a standard language. You will put things in your advertisement, you know, how many years experience you want, how you want them to apply. You're not required to take online applications, and if you're not going to do that, you need to provide another way for them to apply. That needs to be in the advertisement. Skills that you want, licenses that you want, you know, everything like that should go in the language of the body of the advertisement. I'm not going to tell you what you need to put in there. However, this is the only thing that will be added if it isn't in there. If I don't add it, People First will. It's required. Okay, more posting information or posting tips. Again, how you want applicants to apply, whether that's online, and again, DMS is really pushing this. They want everything online. They want the start to finish to be all online and the records kept in one central location. If you choose not to do that, your options are to provide your own application, in which you will be solely responsible for making sure that it is legal and is up to date on all hiring laws. For example, one of the hiring laws that is gaining, or momentums that is gaining ground, is that ban the box. Some of you may have heard it. It is where they are trying to remove the question, have you ever been convicted of a felony, off applications, because they feel that hinders people or automatically eliminates people from the application process without looking further into what was happened, how it was resolved. So they're trying to get rid of it. Some counties have already gone to that, and it is gaining actually state and federal ground, so this might become law sooner than you think. If this passes, the online system will adjust for it and make all the necessary legal changes that need to be made. However, on the paper warrant or the paper application that is out there will not be updated. So you would be responsible for making sure that language is removed. And if you don't, and you still have it on there, you could open yourself to litigation, and nobody wants that. So, you know, be very, very cautious if you are going to provide an application for people to apply. You could also request other things like a resume to be sent to you and a cover letter. Those are the two main things that most people have been asking that want to have people direct apply. Again, include any special instructions, whether that's fax something, email something, pretty much anything. If you have like a background check is going to have to be performed, you might want to include that to let people know that a background check is going to be conducted. Consider using qualifying questions. I have a star on this because qualifying questions have changed a little bit. You can no longer ask yes/no questions. They have to possibly be weighted, so to help you determine the significance of one question over another. They have to be put in during the posting process. I can't add them later, and you could only use qualifying questions if you are going to use the online system. If you're going to have qualifying questions and you're having direct apply, that would be something you would have to ask during the interview process. There's no way we could get someone to answer a qualifying question if they're direct applying. You want to review the advertisements for accuracy. Unfortunately, there are still some old language out on some of the position descriptions that people use to fill out advertisements. We have an internal process in which we try to catch that and let you know if there's something that's wrong, but you might just want to take a look at it to make sure. Again, if you could submit it a day or two before you want the advertisement to post, I would be greatly appreciative of it because it's almost impossible to get something up in one day. And you want to send all posting requests to the email that's listed right here, the job postings at justiceadmin.org. And again, I'll remind you, if you have any questions about this process, please go ahead and email them to that job postings email, and we will definitely have a look and answer them in a form and send them out to you later. To get the form, as we said, it's on our website. You would go to the Justice Admin public website. You go to Human Resources, HR Forms, and you would download the new and improved form that was just posted today in a PDF or a Word format. Once you filled it out, do it as a save as, and again, attach it to the email and send it to us to get processed. This basically gives you a visual of where to find it. Some frequently asked questions. Is it required we use People First for job postings? Since we are not a state personnel agency, there is not a requirement that we use People First for job advertisements. However, again, it's free, it's encouraged. I would encourage you to try it at least once and see how you like it. Is there a set number of days a job must be up or can stay on the People First job site? No, People First really doesn't care if you put it up for a day, 3 days, 6 months. They don't care. I would consult any of your internal policies to make sure that there's nothing set there that says that our advertisements must be up for, let's say, 10 days. If it is, that's up to you to determine. We're not going to tell you here at JAC that you have to have it up longer or, excuse me, or have to take it down sooner. Can non-FTE positions be advertised in advertisements? Sorry. We've talked about this earlier. Yes, they can. OPS, contract positions can. And if you advertise online, again, you are not required to accept online applications, but it is highly encouraged. Excuse me, sorry. At this point is where I wanted to pause and ask for questions, and I don't know. Okay.
And we'll unmute.
Okay. Okay, and now that I can hear you, is there anybody out there that has any general questions, something that might be real quick that I could answer now?
Yes, this is Rebecca from PD18. On the current job application, the last page, where for our male employees, it has the selective service system registration where they actually say that they have had signed up for that. But on that page also is included the background information that talks about whether they've been convicted or whatever. So is there a new application that does not, has, you know, the selective service part but not the background information?
At this point, the background information isn't illegal. However, DMS has abandoned basically the paper application. It is no longer available. People First will not accept it if someone tries to fax it to them, and we've been encouraged not to accept the application because as of January 1st, they no longer accept it. If you go online and go through the process, I believe that information is still there, and it's asked through the online process.
Okay, but you had mentioned that if if we ask that we might be subject to,
If it were
No.
to become law.
Yeah, Rebecca, there is a pending bill in the legislature that would prohibit the state from inquiring on the application questions about someone's criminal background. You would be able to inquire as the offer is being made, but it's only a bill. It has not been heard on the floor yet. It's not law, but it's just an example as to why DMS is no longer using the paper form. Should any laws be implemented, they will update the online application. But currently, there's no prohibition against asking for criminal background information.
okay, so then at this point, if we give our employees that we're going to process the current state application paper, and they fill out the back page, it's okay, right?
As of today, yes.
Thank you.
This is Gina at RC4. So let's say this does go into effect. Would the only way for someone to get an online application would be to go through this People First system?
Yes, it isn't, the application itself is online. It's not pulling a document off of the internet, printing it out and submitting it. It's an interactive application. Now I'm sorry?
And that would go to, let's say we chose not to advertise through People First. We chose to advertise elsewhere. Would we still be required then to go through this online system to get an app? Because right now we're handing them a paper app, which if in fact this were to change, we would not be able to do.
No, it's not that you wouldn't be able to give them a paper application or to formulate your own. The only point we're trying to make is that up until this new job site, we have relied on People First to ensure that the application form meets all legal criteria. And so if agencies choose to use their own application form and there is a law change, you're responsible for meeting those legal criteria.
And if we wanted to still, we don't want to, I mean, because we've got more to do than to redo a state application. If we choose, if we don't want to have our own application, then we have to go online through the People First system.
Yes.
That would be correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Any more questions at this time?
I have a question. This is Wanda at CCRC Middle. Where we list our agency, would we, put our specific region in that box?
Yes, please.
Okay. And another question, can you explain what a contractor position would be that we might want to post? I understand OPS, FTEs, but...
A contract position is usually a position that the state of Florida will pay for, but the person is considered independently employed. They are not considered a state employee.
Okay.
That make sense?
Can you give an example?
Let's say you had an extra caseload that you needed to do, and you needed to have an attorney take care of a docket for you. You could contract an attorney that's private practice to have them take care of those cases, sort of speak. They would still be considered in private practice and their own employee or employer, but they would not be, and they'd be working for the state, but they wouldn't be considered a state employee.
So they would not get a 1099? What about a 1099?
That is getting off base a little bit, that yeah, they would probably get a 1099 that would come from the Department of Management at the end of the year. Anything dealing with how to get a posting up?
Just another quick question. This is Gina, RC4. When we do post to the People First site and we do put a request to fill a vacancy in, once that information goes into that system, is it broadcast to everywhere, just like Monster or any of the other ones, or is it just for internal?
It is posted to the People First job site, which is a public domain job site. Anybody can go in and get there. And it is also posted like the next day from People First to the Employ Florida website. Those are the only two active sites that they are posted to, but because both of them are public, there is nothing that we could do if someone from Monster or LinkedIn or whoever were searching for positions. There's nothing stopping them from pulling the advertisement and putting it on theirs.
There is the opportunity to have it, available only for internal applicants, which is part of the form. But also, I think People First is looking to link into a variety of other job grouping sites. However, they have made it clear that, let's say you have someone who's really looking for a job and they've signed up with 20 different job sites, only one application is going to show up in the bunch of applications that you receive.
Okay, thank you.
Amy, this is Melanie with SA14. Is there a second page where we put the information if there's any extra things like the background check or drug testing that we want to include in the comments?
Yes, absolutely. There's actually 2 more pages to it, and it's sort of a set form. You could copy paste, you could type whatever you need to in there. If for some reason the 2 pages isn't enough for you and you needed to add more, you could definitely add another page or something and we would get it up.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, I think so we don't go over time. We're going to go ahead and move on here. If you could just send us any questions that you might think of, again, to the job postings email, and I'll be sure to look at them and we will review them as a group and get you an answer. All right, and this is the main reason why we're here today, because the People First job site changed. On January 1st, 2017, People First launched a new public employment website along with an updated performance and talent management area in the People First system. These changes were guided and approved by DMS. We didn't have a say. We were told this is what's happening. So now I'm telling you what has changed. The main changes that have happened that affects us directly is the state of Florida application is no longer supported by DMS. We've talked about that at length right now. Just know that whatever state of Florida application is out there now is considered non-existent, or it's not supported, it's not valid. You could still use it for a while if you need to, but again, you would have to be responsible for updating it with any new law change. Applicants that apply directly to your agency can no longer be added to your online applicants list if they are hired. So for this reason, I'm going to say if you accept online applications, that you try to only accept online applications, and if you want them to direct apply, that you only have them direct apply. The system's a little bit more complicated. There's offers of ways around it. However, this would involve you inviting someone that you've already hired to apply for a position that they already have. So take that as for what it is. And another big change that we have done some workarounds and that we are trying to get changed, but with little success at this point, is that the agencies JAC serves are no longer considered from JAC proper. So if someone would go out there and look for an agency job for a particular agency, they could go down to the Justice Administrative Commission and look. However, they're not going to be able to search like state attorney, CCRC. They're not going to be able to search them individually under the agency search. And I'll explain more of our workarounds in a little bit. I'm putting this here because I'm sure we will post this presentation after a very thorough reread to make sure all the information is accurate. This is the basic system information that your system has to be at minimum for it to work. And you might want to have your IT people look at it. There's a link here to the HR memo that was sent out earlier about it that has links to the People First site that has more details. Again, there's some issues if you don't meet this, and this is the information just to have it out there. When an applicant goes to look for a job, this is what they're going to see. This is the home page of the People First job site. And a couple things on this page that you might want to notice is that they have ways to search. If you see sort of in the gray box there, it says About Us, Agency, Careers, and Not Finding Jobs. The agency is where they would go and search for a particular agency. The career is where they would search by broad categories, including some things like legal and community and social services. There's 11 categories, including other. And the Not Finding a Job is a way where they could go and set up a profile, and on the a little bit further down next to the career picture boxes, they could either select from the drop-down box or click on one of the boxes. There's another way they could set up a profile on the system to the left, and that is just more information for the career side of it, or for the People First side of it. This is just an example of what the career page would look like, and this is an example of what the position posting looks like. And you could look at those. You could go onto the website and have a look around yourself. I would strongly recommend that you spend a few minutes out there just so you have an idea of what's out there for the applicant. After the position's been posted, and you want to know what happens now. If you've taken online applications, you would review the applications through People First. You would complete your internal hiring process, and you would let us know who you hired, and that we would fill in who was hired and when they started, and then we would close out the requisition. If you decided to do direct apply and didn't accept online applications, once JAC has confirmed that you no longer need that advertisement, you don't need to re-advertise it, you don't want to sit out there for a little bit to make sure that you don't need it. Once we are sure that you're done with it, we will have it closed. Please don't get the idea that a requisition being opened is actually on the job site. When you put the end date of the posting on the RTF form, that's the last day that position is actually visible on the job site. It does, however, remain open on the back end of it until we close it. So there's a difference between open and posted. Okay. And you're probably asking, well, who can review candidates? Who could pull applications if we decide to, take online applications? Basically, anybody that you have assigned as a team member to the RTF can pull the requisitions. Before, as I stated, if you had a U code, you could automatically go in and you would be automatically assigned to every RTF that was posted for your circuit. However, that is not the case with the new system. I have to add a team member or team members to each requisition, and each team member must have an R or a U security code in People First. The R code is pretty much strictly so that people can pull RTFs. All they can see are the RTFs that they are assigned to and their own personal information. And the U code is basically for HR employees, and they can see their own individual, they can see employees' information in their circuit, and the RTFs that they're assigned to. And by default, the hiring manager could see the RTFs that are posted, and that is JAC. That would be the one of us who opened up the position, and actually we're set up in such a way that if Amber opened the position, I could go in and work on it if you need some help if she's not here, or vice versa, or Monica. But the hiring manager by default is JAC. This is a way to navigate it. Basically, you're going to go to the People First website. You're going to log into People First. You're going to select the Performance and Talent Management link to launch the system. Right now, this is what it looks like. If you're visually looking at it, this is People First homepage, and as you can see, I've highlighted the Performance and Talent Management. That's where you would click. It is going to open up this box for you, and you're going to log into the system using your same user ID and password as you would to log into People First. Once you have logged on to that, you're going to come to this home page. As you can see in the sort of the upper right-hand corner there's a home page, and it has a drop-down menu, and that's where you're going to go to get where you need it. Under your to-do list, you're probably not ever going to see anything for you to do because JAC opens the requisitions for you. So you would go up to the home button, you would select recruiting, and you would come to something that looks like this. Now this is my recruiting page, and as you can see, there's a lot of applicants out there, or a lot of RTS out there. Yours should be significantly smaller, hopefully. Again, you can see I've highlighted you want to be on recruiting, and I want to point out a couple of things here. There are ways that if you do get a page that looks like this, to narrow it down, because it gets quite cumbersome to try to figure out which RTS that you need to do. You could either filter the jobs by all jobs. There's a couple other options like open jobs, jobs that are closed. So if you needed to go back to a position that you had open at one point and you wanted to review an old advertisement for a new one, you could go do that by selecting closed applications and look at the ones that you had closed and had posted later. You have a filter option button. I'm sorry. Your filter option button allows you to narrow down the list. You could do a keyword search here. You could do a requisition search. The requisition number is actually the requisition number provided by People First. So if you go out to the job site and you see your advertisement and you see a number that says requisition number, that's requisition number is assigned by People First. That's the number you would use for a requisition search. There are other search options, however, they really don't apply because you would have to have access to more than just JAC postings, and none of us do. So you wouldn't be able to use like the agency search or something like that. Keep in mind that if you do a filter option and you have narrowed down your list, to get the rest of your list back, you'd have to go back into your filter options, clear them, and update your screen again so you can get back to all your applications, all your requisitions and advertisements. There you'll see on the right-hand side, highlight job title. You could put in keywords, the position number, and it will highlight it on your list for you, but it won't narrow the list. And just to note, because I believe this has caught pretty much everybody that has been in the system so far, right above that is an items per page, and the default is 10. So if you've had more than 10 advertisements put up there and it's set to 10, to get to all your advertisements, you might have to go to the next page, or, you know, my personal preference is up the items per page number. I believe the max is 100. So just saying, that's caught everybody, so you might want to take a look at it if you can't see something. Your job requisitions, a closer look is pretty much going to look like this, and if you wanted to get a specific one, you would go to that requisition and you could either click on it or hover it over it, and a little pop-up will come up and it will say review or edit, and you could click on that link and it will open it up and it's going to look like this for you. You're going to be able to see everything that I had put in, or Monica or Amber has put in. that was used to get the requisition posted. You want to go to your candidates list that has the number next to it in parentheses. As you can see up at the top of the page, there's another candidates thing that doesn't work as well. You would go to the candidates with the number next to it. You would click on that. I just want to do a side note. One of the things in this new system is that you could do a candidate search. Once an applicant has put a profile out there, they become searchable. So if you have a hard-to-fill position and you are not getting the applicants you want to see, you could do a candidate search with your requirements of the job, and if you see someone that has a profile out there that you're interested in maybe having them apply, you could do so from this page and invite them to apply to your positions. Doesn't mean they will, but you would have the option to invite them and maybe get them as a candidate so you could come interview them. But we're going to go back to the candidates. You would click the candidates, and your list is going to come up like this. If you wanted to work individually, you would just click on the individual to open up and review their resume and see their applications. There's an actual button on the right-hand side that says resume and applications. You click between the two to see what they have filled out. You could do bulk actions from here, which is basically you would select the name button. You would click on it, and then you would go to the actions drop-down list, which is on your left-hand side there under candidates, view all candidates. And you can do things like bulk print, bulk save, bulk email. Those are convenient tools for you if you choose to use them. There are other options out there, and I'll honestly say I have not been through all of them, so I'm not very versed in them. But if you want to have a look and try them out and let us know how they work for you, please do so. I know we went through the last little bit a little quickly, but I have another option for questions if you want to ask. Just a second here. We got to put it to where we could hear you.
Okay, and an email question came in asking, are the agencies required to have an application if employees direct apply? And I think that would be a not necessarily response. Some agencies like to have they like to just collect resumes and then choose from a pool, and you certainly can do that. There's no statutory requirement for non-state personnel system agencies to advertise. There is no statutory requirement that you use People First to advertise. However your agency chooses to move forward is up to you. Naturally, any documents that you receive are going to be public records, subject to the record retention requirements of 4 years. So just keep that in mind. Okay, were there any other questions?
Oh, I see a question that's popped up here. How do you get a team member for an R code? Basically, you just send us a position description for their position with the information that you want them to have an R security code in the system. Once that is updated, they would have access to the requisitions that they are considered team members of. Anything else?
I have a question. This is Wanda at CCRC Middle. If we have applicants direct apply, the part you just showed us, that would not be something we would need to worry about?
No, it wouldn't.
Okay.
No, but keep in mind that People First does meet the public records requirements, and they keep all applications on file for 4 years, which is the public records retention requirement.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, another question came in from email. We posted a job recently and were able to view applicants' resumes and cover letters. when you state online application, is there a way to view what that applicant filled in? Do they fill in start and end date at previous jobs, education history, and so on?
Yes, they can fill in that information. I have seen where they have done it, and I've seen some people where they haven't done it. Usually when that information is available, there's a drop-down arrow, and I believe, because I have not been in there extensively, but I'm pretty sure what it is the area has been filled in, like job history. The system lets you know there's more information, and you could click on the button to expand that to see what other information the applicant has put.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for your participation. If after you've reviewed the slides or gone through the People First job site, if you have any more questions, please feel free to post them. Okay, we just got one in.
The other 2 pages of the RTS are really just blank pages. When you download the RTS form from our website, you would download all 3 pages.
Okay, anything else? All right, well, thank you again, and let us know if you have any other questions. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.